Hello, everyone, and welcome to part 4 of our functional testing series. So, we have already created a test plan for our product's API. So, now in this video, we will be doing the most important part of our testing series, that is creating a test case. So, let's get started. So, first of all, let's understand what is a test case. So, test case is a step by step checklist a tester follows to check whether the application is working as expected or not. So, basically, a test case tells testers what to test, how to test, and what are the expected results. So now let's understand and create test cases for our products API so that you can get more familiar with the test cases. So let's get started. To write an effective test case, first you need to understand the functionality of an API and what are the different endpoints that particular API is using and what is the actual purpose of that API. So, in order to do that, always come on Swagger and you can get all the details about the endpoints. So, let's understand how we can use this Swagger for creating our test case for this particular API. So we have this get endpoint first, right? So here I can see that it's a get endpoint and it is used to get the product with an ID. So in this case, what I have to think is I can create two types of test cases here. So one is the negative scenarios. So I can create a negative scenarios. The other one will be the positive scenarios. So, what are these actually? So, coming towards the positive scenarios first, so these are the scenarios which go smoothly. So, all the 200 ones. So, whatever response code you are getting as a 200, that will be considered as a positive scenario. So, in this case, if I talk about this one, the get products id, so here we can see that when I'm going to test this one, I will pass method as a get and this will be my endpoint and I will pass that id which exists in the database, for example 1. So I'll pass 1 and I will give the id. This is the mandatory field, and I will also provide the headers, the XAPI key and the client id. And once I give this, I should get back a response which should be similar to like this. And I should validate the response with my Swagger, like whatever response I'm getting back from API, it should match with the Swagger as well. And it should be similar. Next, so this will be my 200 scenario, right? So in this case it will be a plain case, I'm passing everything. Now comes the negative scenarios. So when I will say that this case is negative, so negative cases comes when you are not passing mandatory headers, for example. So for example, I'm not passing mandatory headers. So what will happen in that case? In that case, you will get an error related to 400 series. So whatever is 400, 500, all those scenarios you need to cover in your test cases for testing your API. So this is one of those. The other thing, what if I don't pass my ID? What will happen in that case? That could be my next scenario in the negative cases. Next comes, what if I don't pass, instead of get method, I'm using something else. So I am using patch. So what will be the behavior in that case? But how my API is managing those cases when I'm passing this kind of data to it, because it's a client, it can pass anything, right? So you need to think of it like a pro. You are a customer, you are using this application, think like that and make cases according to that only. What if The ID I am passing, ID I am passing is not existing, is not there in the DB. So what is the behavior in that case? Am I getting 404 or 200 with plain data, with empty data? So what is the behavior? So we need to consider all these cases in the negative scenarios. So all of the cases like mandatory headers, what are the things you need to pass is mandatory. For example, the authentication, is the token you are passing valid or not, are you passing that or not? These things you need to consider. Now this was the get, right? So let's understand one post as well. So in the post endpoint we have one additional thing, that is the request body. So you can see it here, it's required. So you can make a negative test case by validating what if you are not passing the request body. So what will be the behavior of your API? Is it giving a valid error response or not? Similarly, you can do it, so it's creating a product, right? So what if you are not passing the name in the request body? What if you are giving empty in that name field, or you are giving minus 1500 in the price attribute and the quantity is -2? What is the behavior in those cases? So you have to consider everything, the edge cases, the below the point cases, all the cases you need to consider while doing the testing. Also you have to validate the response, whatever response you are getting back. Is it valid response? Is it equal to the swagger you are seeing, or it's different than that? So you need to validate that as well. So all in all, you need to see that whatever you are seeing as an information, so maybe you got, instead of swagger you are getting the information about an API in a document. See that document, find the details of the document, and you need to check that whatever is mentioned in the document, your API, your endpoint is working as expected. So for example, there is a delete endpoint, right? What if I'm deleting already deleted product? What is the behavior in that case? So when once it's deleted, is it deleted from the DB as well? So you can check those things also. So these are the broader categories, the positive and negative scenarios I have explained. So in the next part, what we will be seeing is how we can create, how we can make a plan according to it, and how we can write a proper test case using this information. So let's write your first test case. Let's create our first test case. So I'm using Confluence for documenting all my test cases. So this Confluence is a software which is used for documentation. Almost all the projects uses this software for maintaining the product details and documenting all the information regarding the product. So it's very easy to use, and you can share your pages within your team, and it's really helpful while maintaining your data. So if you want to know more about Confluence, ping me in the chat. I'll create more videos on it. So let's begin and create our first test case. So what you can do here is, there is a plus sign. You can create your first page and you can name it as, so we will be creating our test cases for get endpoint, say. So get products endpoint. So we will create test cases. So first of all, one I'll cover is the positive test case. So I will also go through the different components you need to have while creating a test case. So we have already seen in the Swagger that these are the information about my test cases and these possible scenarios I can make. So I can have positive and negative scenarios. So we thought of some positive and negative scenarios. Now we will create actual scenario case. So from here I can select one table, and first will be my test case ID. So this is kind of a unique identifier. So whenever you have a test case id, you can share this id, or you can link this id with the Jira ticket that my this test case has failed, and whosoever is working on it, they can come to your test cases and see and mention and relate to the test case id, and they can work on it simultaneously. So test case ID is a unique identifier for any test case. Next is the scenario. So, test scenario. So, what is your actual scenario you are going to test? Is it a positive scenario, negative scenario? That you need to mention. Then, a small test description. So, you have to be very clear and concise about the description. So, whenever someone is coming to see the test case, they should know that you are testing this particular thing. So, be concise and clear in your wordings. Next will be whatever the input or the data you are using. Sometimes you are using particular input or the data. So, always use a particular that only. So, let's add the another column here. So next will be the expected output. So what are you expecting when this particular test case is functioning? So next will be the actual output. So whenever you are testing, you should see that what is expected output and what actually you are getting now. So if it's not equal to the expected output, then your status of that test case will not be passed, it will be failed. Next comes the status. So these are the components of a test case you need to mention while writing a test case. So let's write one test case. So I will do it as TC101. You can name it as anything. So if you have any Jira ID linked with your testing, you can use that also. So as of now, this is TC101 I have given to it. So what my first scenario will be the positive scenario. Positive scenario, and this will see the products availability. So what I will do here in the small description, so I will verify API returns list of products when products exist. So when there are products in my DB, right? So this get products, its functionality was giving all the products. So they should return me proper products. So what is input I am giving to that? So there is no input or no data. I'm just calling the get products endpoint. So no input here. Then what is the expected output? Expected output is 200. Okay, you can have two columns here as well, the expected HTTP status, or you can mention everything in expected output. So expected output HTTP, this a method 200 OK with products list. Even you can mention that in JSON format. So something like that you are expecting, and what is your actual, this we will fill up when we actually test it. And the last is whether your test case has passed or not. Even you can print, you can give the screenshots as well here. So this was about the positive test case. So let's write one negative test case as well. So let's make it as TC102. So my scenario is negative, and what I will see here is authentication. So what I'm doing here is I will verify API is failing when no authentication is passed. So when I'm giving no authentication, then it should fail, right? So it should be failing when no authentication is passed. So what is the input I am giving? So input here is my basic auth. So I will be passing username and password. So I won't be passing it actually. So this will be in the correct scenario. So here I won't be passing that. So no input here. Next, what I'm expecting here is 401 unauthorized error with message. Okay, and what is actual output I will be getting, that I will do when I will test it. I'll update here and the status. So here you can see that we have covered two possible scenarios. One is the positive and the other one is the negative. So similarly, I have written all the endpoints and all the test cases for different all the endpoints here. I can show you those, and I can also share this Confluence link in the description below. You can come here and check these status and the test cases. So here you can see I have covered different test cases. 200 okay with product list, and 401 unauthorized, and 404 errors. So we have covered almost all the different cases. So while doing that, while writing a test case, you need to be very careful about thinking what that particular endpoint is doing, what is its actual functionality. And the other thing you need to see is what are the different mandatory headers or the mandatory tags you need to pass. Are you passing those? And if not, then is the application behavior is according to that or not? So you need to be very careful while doing so. And once your test case passes, the other thing is whatever you are expecting in the response, always validate it with your Swagger. Is your response according to the whatever is expected through the Swagger? Your attributes and everything, you should match each and every field. So that is your main criteria of doing the API testing. So this was all about creating your test case. So now in the next upcoming videos, I'll be covering the actual testing of this API using Postman. So it will be a long detailed videos on Postman essentials as well. So stay tuned and keep learning and keep watching. Thank you so much.